warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Dstv Premiership action as I have a post-match analysis of Sekhukhune United versus Mamelodi Sundowns, which ended 1-1. So, coming up then into this episode, the red team will represent Sekhukhune and then the blue team will represent Mamelodi Sundowns. So, when you have a look at Sekhukhune then, coming up into this encounter, they did then line up in a 4-4-2. And when you do have a look at the players that started, they did start with Sabata, they started with Ndiandia, they started with Kadoso, Silo Mutsepe, and Nigo Mobi. Within the heart of midfield, they had Kabwe, Mtambo, Litswalo, Mukwana, and then up front they had Mabasa and Makubu. However, we did see early changes being made within the first half, where then we saw Mahlangu come in, and then we also did see then Masia and Abednego also coming on then within the second half. So then the shape changed, where then we were able to see then Abednego coming off the left, Masia coming off the right, you had Litswalo, and then you had Mabasa. Within the heart of midfield then, you then did have Mahlangu, and then you had Linda Mtambo as well. However, the two then in Masia and Abednego second half, they did interchange a couple of times. So coming up into this encounter then, Sekhukhune was always then going to be a team that was not going to have much ball possession. So it was always going to be very key then with regards to how do they look to go about things. And when you have a look at the first half, I think in the first half, they were quite flat with regards to them lacking proactivity. So they were quite reactive and they lacked a lot of energy within the first half, especially considering then that they didn't have much of the ball. They didn't have much offensive threat going forward. And what then they did was that they sat very deep within the first half. So I think what we can do then is have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns and then bring Mamelodi Sundowns up to just show you the general picture of the game, because Mamelodi Sundowns did then have over 70% ball possession. So when you then have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns, they had Ronan Williams at right back, they had Mudau as a right-sided centre-back, they had Teruk left-sided centre-back, they had Onyango at left-back, they had Mudiba, and then within the diamond, because they play with the 4-4-2 diamond, at the base of the diamond, they had Tebogo Mokoena. Right side of the diamond, they had Mkulisi. Left side, they had Neo Mayema. And then at the top of the diamond, they had Tembazwane. They then had Shalile, and then they had Serino as well. So let's just push it up then and show you the standard picture of the game and how it played out. And then I will go back then to having a look at Sekhukhune United, where they went well and some of the things that they struggled with. So with Mamelodi Sundowns then, both fullbacks looked to go high and wide. So they had a front line of 5 within their offensive scheme. And then they had their 3 midfielders there. So when you look at this game, then most of the game was played out in such fashion. You know, at times, one of them would look to drop in, you know, so you had so many men behind the ball for this Sekhukhune United side. So going back then to Sekhukhune. So within the first half then, what Sekhukhune failed to do then was ensure that they could manage the space in between the lines from a lateral and a vertical perspective, because then Sundowns was still able to play through their low block and Sundowns was still able to create chances. And also then when you look at them from this picture, Sekhukhune then struggled with regards to their offensive transitions and being able then to spring counterattacks. They couldn't even at times get out from this situation, and they really struggled. With Mamelodi Sundowns, they were really in control, and I think then within the first half, they played, I think that was their best first half within the season so far, or well, their best half of football within the season so far, as they were very dominant. They looked good with regards to their passing, their movement, and how then they were also able to penetrate and create chances. It's just that within the first half, they weren't as clinical. And then when you move on then, and have a look at what Sekhukhune did very well. So what they did very well then was in the second half, especially considering then how they looked to approach the game. From the kickoff, Sekhukhune, they managed to win the ball. Mabasa managed to win the ball from that area. And then what happens is Mabasa drives with the ball, and then he's able to play that ball in there for Mtambo. Mtambo then was able to finish. And then when you do have a look at how the game then progresses within the second half for this Sekhukhune United side, is that when you have a look at them, they were able then to ensure that they start pressing Mamelodi Sundowns and make it very difficult for them to play. So the picture then that you did see from Sekhukhune is that they look to go high up with regards to their press. So that's what they look to do. So whenever then Sundowns were looking then to build up, this Sekhukhune United side within the second half, they ensured that they applied a lot more pressure so that it wasn't as easy for Mamelodi Sundowns to build up, and it wasn't as seamless as well. Also then, when you look at it within the second half, they also then managed the vertical and the lateral spaces a lot better whenever then they sat in their deep defensive block, as Mamelodi Sundowns in the second half couldn't be as expressive and as creative as they were within the first half. So when you do look at it then, the player that did stand out for me was Linda Mtambo within the heart of midfield, as he was the man of the match. This is a player then who was quite impressive with regards to being able then to ensure that he could play some of those penetrative passes, especially within the second half. And he was also then able to get that goal. And whenever Sekhukhune looked to press, he was also involved within that press. When we move on then and have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns. So when you have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns then, this is a side that has been playing with a 4-4-2 diamond. So when you have a look at the personnel, like I did mention, you had Williams in goals, you had Rushun Duruk, you had Onyango. At right back, you had Mudau. At left back, you had Mudiba, you had Mukwena, you had Mkulisi, you had Mayema, you had Zwane, you had Serino, and then you had Shalulile as well. So when you have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side then, within this game, I think that within the first half, they were very, very good. It's just that they weren't as clinical and lacked quality at times within the first half, within the final third, because I do think that they could have well wrapped this game up within the first half. However, when you do have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side then, with regards to their offensive scheme, what they look like, going back to it, it was pretty much a 2-3-5 offensive scheme. So this is what you saw from Mamelodi Sundowns. And in this regard then, a lot of movement and a lot of rotational play with regards to their front three, looking then to ensure that they were able then to break down this low block, and they were able then to also break into the box as well. As when you do look at their goal that came, it came within the first half, and it comes then from beautiful combination play, where then you do see Themba Zwane, who does then look to drop into that area. He flicks it on. Then you've got Serino. Serino then plays it for Shalile. Shalile then is able to finish. So that is how the goal came from Mamelodi Sundowns. And overall then, when you do have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side, I think that within the first half, they were a lot better. Within the second half, Sekhukhune was a lot better with regards to how they looked to apply pressure. And Sundowns then weren't as fluid and as creative, especially within the final third, within the second half. So, ladies and gentlemen, it does end 1-1 at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Limpopo. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. Signing out.